Welcome to Punch Keys Podcast. I'm Poppy Minix, your co-host, bringing you blunt talk for the fiction novelist.
And I'm Cascade, your other writerly co-host. If you love to ramble about writing and need a tribe, you found us.
Are you ready? We're uncorking now. Let's talk about punching those keys.
Dun da da da! It is Punch Keys time.
I love your intro so much. Happy Punch Keys time.
Happy. This is kind of a fun episode. This is the final episode of season 1.
How is that fun?
Because we have a full season under our belt now.
Okay, yeah.
We're at the point where we have, completing one stage. It would be sad if we didn't have season 2 already plotted out, which we do.
Okay, that's true. Good point.
So it's not like an end. It's like a milestone.
It is. It is a milestone. High five on the milestone. Just
whoop whoop.
That was not together, but apart. But in spirit, that high five happened.
Yeah, happened twice, according to the sound effects.
Truth.
So we thought a little bit about season 1 and what we wanted to talk about, and I really like what we settled on.
Oh my gosh, yeah, we've been thinking about this for a while, and how can we conclude season 1? How do we go out with a bang?
Bang. There you go.
Bang. Boom. Pow. I don't know.
Season 1, I think, is hugely about finishing your work.
Yeah.
Punching the keys and finishing your work. But there was something that kept hitting, I think, both of us through all of it. And it was that finishing your work is just the beginning of this.
It's true.
There's so much more that comes afterwards. And there were so many topics that we wanted to hit. And we were like, well, let's wait till we hit all of these other ones first. And it's all about finishing it and getting to the end and pushing and the things that stop you up and block you and make it difficult and reasons to stop. Because you're villain monologuing, or you don't have a character arc, or you don't have a supporting cast, or your world building isn't there, or all of these basic blocks that stop people, right?
Right.
So what happens when you have a first draft and you've completed it, then what? So I think we kind of want to talk about then what is when you level up.
Yes.
And leveling up as an author is hard. It's terrifying, and holy shit, guys, it's so satisfying.
Gosh, it is so satisfying when all of a sudden you have light bulbs just explode all over the place. That's like your level up moment. It's not even like light bulbs, it's like neon, explosive, huge sign saying, I know what I'm doing moments. It's fantastic.
But we haven't really broken down how to make that possible. I know we've talked a lot about our writer tribe and how we brainstorm together and work together and support each other. But we kind of sat down and talked about some ways that we've thought about ways that we've tried to level up. I feel like we've leveled up, but I'm going to say tried because that sounds like arrogant as shit to be like, we leveled up and we're so fancy.
There's moments that you level up, but it's a constant motion of leveling up. And so we have a lot more leveling up to do, but nonetheless...
So much.
We've had some really good moments of, it's been like, oh my gosh, brain expansion, this is a great moment. And so, it's been really fun to learn these things and to share them and to talk about it.
So I'm going to go ahead and dive right in and kind of talk to you guys about writing classes.
Yes.
So when I first had my first finished draft, and I went and found a writing site, and I found people to pay to read it, and I had people look at my stuff over and over and over. The critique I got so much from people was that my characters were great, my world building was great, my story was great. I needed to have a better handle on punctuation and grammar. It's not like I wasn't using commas or didn't understand quotes or dialogue, or actually my dialogue grammar was off. But basic English stuff I knew. I had done all of my English courses. I had done college classes, and I had done journalism style writing. But there's a different art form to prose writing for novels, I feel like.
Yes, I agree with you.
Entirely different style. And so at first when I heard this feedback, it was mostly just kind of soul crushing. I'm not going to lie to you guys.
Right.
Utterly soul crushing. And I think how people deliver this kind of feedback is really tricky too. And I had it delivered in some really mean ways. But I eventually put on my big girl panties, and I actually went and took some classes. And I didn't take classes on world building and characters and stuff that I was comfortable with, I took classes on prose because I knew it was the one thing that I was like, it was crippling my storytelling, my ability to really reach the level I wanted with my stories. And I couldn't just casually take the classes.
Yeah.
I had to like clear my writing schedule for these classes.
Yes.
There was a couple courses I took. They were usually 6 to 8 weeks where I was like, okay, I'm not planning on getting further in my work in progress during this time. If I do anything on my work in progress, it's because it's fitting the assignment I'm working on.
You are carving out this time to do this very specific task to learn what you need to learn to move forward.
Yeah. And I think these types of timeouts and breaks aren't just because you're not putting words into your work in progress when you're leveling up, doesn't mean you're not leveling up.
Right.
Sometimes by just continually writing books over and over and over and just putting words into your work in progress, that's not leveling up either, guys. If you're not learning how to make the stories better, how to edit, how to craft them, that's kind of the stuff we're going to talk about. So classes is the first one on my list. I'm still constantly looking for good prose classes. I will say one of my favorite ones that I've taken is through Writer's Digest University. Kelly Sargent, I think her name is. She has a prose class. She has a beginner's and a more advanced one, and they're just both phenomenal. I walked out of there with a better understanding of how to utilize prose better. It was huge for me. So whatever your insecurity is, I would definitely say look into a class. Make sure you research the instructor. Make sure you all that stuff. It's worth the investment. I know they cost.
They do.
They do.
Any educational thing that you do.
And there's a couple of online university stuff out there that's pretty cheap. And there's some specific writing ones. I'll have to see. I'll look them up and put them in the episode description. We'll probably have a ton of links in this one for all the stuff we're going to be going over. But I will look for them. There's a couple that are pretty big, specific to novel writing courses.
Yeah.
So I'll link a couple of those up for you guys just so you can browse and see if anything hits you.
That's super smart. I think my level up moment, first one, I had the same problem with grammar and punctuation and sentence structure and that sort of thing, along with, other things of repetitive, general grammar things that you shouldn't typically do in your writing unless you're doing it intentionally because you know the rules. I didn't know the rules. I just threw this story out, and I was very fortunate because I came across my agent, and my agent found my publisher. And so my level up moment was my editor, because I got professional feedback right from the source, and that she was like incredible and basically handed me this list of like, these are the things you need to correct. Like, this is what needs to be better here. And I had never thought about those things before. And we'll eventually have an episode on like how to edit and the stuff that we've learned along the way. But that was my level up moment because I had never really seen that before in such a defined moment of like, these are the things that you need to fix right now with your work. Like, here it is. Here's a list. And that hit me really hard. And it hurt a little bit because you're like, oh my God, it's so much. And it was just like so many things. And it felt
awful.
like
This is so many.
Yes. And it felt like it was just this impossible list that I had to tackle of like all of these things, getting rid of can and cannots in your work. And I was just like, what? I can't use can and cannot. And it was just so overwhelming. But at the same time, it really formed my brain for editing now. And now I write so much cleaner than I did before because I had somebody point at my words and say, yeah, this isn't right. And you need to do this right here. And so if you have the opportunity to get an editor, then gosh, that's another learning moment too.
Well, I have two thoughts on that. First of all, I think a big factor in that, and I think this will apply in everything, is the attitude you had in that. Yes. So like when an editor brings you back a list, it's really easy to be like, you don't know what you're talking about. That's my author voice. That's who I am. That's how I write.
But I didn't know what I was doing.
Guys, like if you get a help from someone on the other end or someone who knows what they're talking about and is in the industry, sure, I mean, you might have author voice and you might have all these things going, but there's a really good chance that you're not using author voice to benefit the story like you think you are.
I definitely was not. I didn't know what the hell I was doing at the time. I wrote the story and that's all I had, but I didn't actually know how to write really at that point. And man, was that ever just incredible incredibly helpful for somebody to just point at these and be like, yeah, no, you need to do this instead. And it took me a while. It did. It took me a while to be like, I need to just sit on this for a couple days and like breathe it in and be like, okay, what are we going to do? Because those are my word babies. And like how you're just taking them and you're just hacking them out. But at the same time, like, man, did it make it so much better. And then when I was done, I mean, this took me months. It really did take me months to sit down with this thing and be like, okay, I have a list. I got to go one by one and just figure out what the heck is happening here. And then I discovered other things like ProWrite Aid, and, I discovered what I was writing at the same time. And oh man.
If someone doesn't have an opportunity, I don't have an opportunity for an editor to go through and do that stuff with me.
Right.
What I do have the opportunity to do, though, is go to panels where editors and agents and professionals are speaking on every different topic. And right now, guys, especially with everything with COVID and everything that's transferred onto online stuff, every professional out there is doing different panels, different
they are
courses, different everything. Again, I'll list up a bunch. There's just so many, I can't even begin to list them off. So I'll put a bunch of links to that stuff as well. But guys, Twitter,
yes.
If you are on Twitter, of all the social medias, I think Twitter is the one where I have seen agents, editors, publicists, the whole gamut. Like if there's a curtain in the industry, and all of us writers who haven't made it, and all of the people who are actually producing books are on the other side of the curtain, all of those people on the other side of the curtain are playing on Twitter, and they're talking, and they're also, every time they are doing a panel and they are doing a discussion or a class, they promote it on Twitter. They put a link.
Yes, absolutely they are.
So go and follow, research and look into it. Look into all of the agents, all of the editors for the genres you are writing. Follow them, because they'll probably start telling you their pet peeves of material that they get, which is great to know. And two, they're going to put up links to stuff. And they're going to put up links to people that are also in their agency, or people they know that are really good at teaching a certain topic, or all these different things. Use this tool, guys. I promise you, Twitter is a tool.
I agree with you. I completely agree with you. I actually found my agent through Twitter, believe it or not.
Twitter event, right?
No, actually, it was not a Twitter event. I had somebody send me a personal message that said, this person is looking for sirens. And I went, oh, because I had a siren. And so I sent it over, and sure enough, she ate it up in a day and was like, okay. Like, I love this. I don't like how it is right now. You need to fix it, but I love it. And so I had to go back and figure out how to edit really fast, because I didn't know what I was doing when you first start out. You just don't. You can't be expected to know everything off the bat. You're not expected to push out this publishable book on your first try.
But you are expected to learn.
Yes, you're expected to learn. You're expected to accept how to learn. Because that's what we do. I mean, if you want to get better, you open yourself up to the fact that you are not perfect being. I don't know any writer who is. There's always going to be something that's repairable and something that you can do better. And to be able to learn that and be open to the fact that someone can teach you how to do something better is incredibly important. And I've learned so much from that, just from, yes, take a couple days to lick your wounds and be like, okay, it was not perfect. Well, that sucked, but at the same time, you can be so much better if you just wait, think about it, and study and keep going. And, those million words that Stephen King talks about, yes, write a million words, but write better each word you do. Keep learning and considering what you can do to make what you're writing really impact the world, and learn about it, because we need to learn and move forward and go on, and we can always get better.
Always. Another good way so if you can't, you don't have an editor or an agent, which I don't either, guys, I'm right there with you, and you're going to panels and stuff, the next way to get feedback, obviously, is from critiques.
Yeah.
But I think the rookie move, and we've talked about this in the critique episode, is going there and just being like, everyone critique my stuff, and you don't realize it's like a give and take. But here's the flip side to this, is teaching. Have you ever taught someone a concept and all of a sudden you understood it so much more because you taught it?
Truth.
And
yes.
so I think that's kind of the same with critiquing. You have to be careful because you don't know everything. You don't want to come off and saying you know everything. But if you can go in and identify something you are really good at, like, say, world building, and as you're forming your writer tribe and your writer group, you're kind of like the person who book doctors on that. and you go in and look at it and you're like, okay, here's what I got from it. Here's books in this genre that are trying to do what you're doing. Here is information, questions I had that weren't answered. And if you go through and if you can break down exactly what they did and you can look at what formula would be successful and where they broke away from it, I guarantee you're learning a shit ton.
Oh my gosh.
And you're learning it's just as great for you to learn that stuff and see it elsewhere. All of a sudden, I don't know how many times I've been doing a beta read. I've been like, oh, I can see where they're off. This is why this isn't hitting. And then I was like, wait a minute. That's why it's not hitting in mine too. I'm doing the same thing. Oh my goodness. I know how to fix this now.
That's fantastic.
And so putting the effort into other people's story and just looking at the craft of storytelling and the helping someone else tell a story is going to help you level up.
I agree. And for me with critiquing, it's like I'll look at something and I'll be like, this is not right. I have no idea why it's not right. Why is this not right? Why is this not hitting me the way that it should? And I'll go look it up. I'll be like, okay, how can I do this? And especially like with words, with like verbiage, like why is this word not seem like it's fitting correctly? Let me go look up that definition. Let me go look up this concept. Let me go look up why this sentence is not working for me at all. And so I learn as I go just from having to pause.
Oh, for sure. I had a beta read where there was tons and tons of repetition, but it was repetition that was purposeful.
Oh, that's fantastic.
But it was too much.
I got it.
And I couldn't figure out why, because I knew it was purposeful. I knew there was rhythm. I knew there was alliteration going on. There was stuff, but there was more to it, and it was too much, and I didn't know how to explain that it was too much. So I started researching types of repetition in prose, intentional repetition.
That's amazing.
Which then got me start researching literary devices, because all the different types of repetition are literary devices.
Yeah.
So then I'm like down this rabbit hole of learning all of these different literary devices, and I have such a bigger understanding of them now, and I constantly, when like I'm picking character voice, I almost always pick a literary device now to go with a particular character to help single out their voice. And I would have never fallen down that rabbit hole if I wasn't beta reading and being like exactly what Poppy's saying. Okay, this isn't right, but I don't know why. Right. So I'm gonna have to go learn. And oh my goodness, now I'm a better storyteller because of it. Totally worth my time.
Leveling up. Yes, absolutely.
So the next thing we had on our list was one we talk about all the time. We tell you guys this all the time. And that's reading. Reading is a way to level up.
Yes.
Obviously, read whatever genre you're writing all over. Read the 1 stars, read the 5 stars, read the reviews, read the book. Don't read the Cliff Notes.
Unless you're Poppy.
Do you read Cliff Notes?
I love me some Cliff Notes. Give me a synopsis any day. But no, I want to read the whole thing. But at the same time, I do want to read the synopsis as well to see how people condense. I want to know, like, the bones, baby.
As long as you're actually reading the book as well. Usually. Oh, that pause. Oh,
I was got in trouble by Kat.
Wow.
I'm going to get a wrist slap on that one. Whoops.
Yeah, we're going to deal with that later. I don't even know how to handle that right now. So we've talked about that a lot, but we did want to talk a little bit about craft books.
Yes.
Books on writing. And so we were both talked about how we wanted to give some recommendations of things that we love.
Oh, man, do I love some certain craft books.
I might have like a stack of 10 books next to me because I got so into...
I picked my top 3.
I went a little overboard. I'm sorry.
We might overlap. We didn't actually talk about this before.
All right, why don't you go first? You go first.
Okay, I'm just going to start with in the process portion of starting with Creating Character Arcs by K.M. Weiland. I really enjoyed that book because it gave me different insight into ways to plot and ways to think about the character arc and who the character is, the lie that they're telling, and it gave me a different way to look at a character. I don't use everything in it, but man, did it help me in figuring out my own process. So while that process might not work entirely for me, parts of it do, and parts of it have helped me create my own process. And I think that's what the joy is on nonfiction and about these type of books, is that it's not always that everything that you read is going to stick to you completely. You might disagree with what the person's telling you, but that's still going to teach you something about your own process, that you're standing by this one point and that doesn't work for you, but this does. And I really enjoy a lot of her books, but Creating Character Arcs was my absolute favorite on breaking down what a character does.
Okay, next book.
The Dreyer's English sits by my side during editing process. It's by Benjamin Dreyer, and it's for style and punctuation. It is the most fun nonfiction I've ever read. He is an absolute hoot to read. I've really enjoyed it because he's just got this wry sense of humor and delivers these really poignant pieces of information in such a funny way. And it's such a fun storytelling type way. And so that one is absolutely one of my favorites for, gosh, all things punctuation, grammar, style. My next one, my third favorite, is The Writer's Lexicon by Kathy Steinmann. It's for basically helping with overused words. When you get to a point when you're tearing through a first draft, it's really easy to be like, I walked over to the refrigerator and sighed. And Kathy gives you this point where she can tell you need to change walked, you need to change sighed, and you need to think about this entire sentence and its generalness. And it really levels you up in making unique, interesting sentences and actions that can really bring your writing to life instead of it just being everyday, we're going to stare at this the same way we always do. It brings you out of the box, and I really enjoy some of her explanations and some of the ways that she can explain how to use words and how to use actions.
Love it. I know of all of them. I haven't read the character arc ones by K.M. Weiland. So I think why my stack is so big, because I think throughout season 1, we've mentioned more than once my obsession with collecting encyclopedias.
A little bit.
So I kind of thought it might be a little fun. Like, I have a couple craft books, but I kind of wanted to highlight a couple encyclopedias, depending on what you're writing in different genres and stuff, where There's a couple encyclopedias that I feel like are just freaking gold. Amazing. But for process writing, I actually... Okay, all of you pansters, hold on for a second. Hang with me. I'm going to give a plotting book. But
What?
I know.
I was waiting for it. Holy moly.
I'm actually reading, Larry Brooks wrote Great Stories Don't Write Themselves. I went and did a panel with him in the most recent Writer's Digest conference. And he's fantastic because it's not plotters versus pansters, guys. It's basically understanding story structure. Whether you need to write out that structure for each book or not isn't the discussion. The discussion is do you understand what structure is? So he goes down and he breaks down what structure is. The process and how you use structure with your stories can be plotting, pantsing, in between, whatever, I don't care. And his process and discussion and looking at it and understanding story structure, I think, is fantastic. It goes right along with the book I've recommended about fairy tale structures as well. I've mentioned that book as well. They're both equally just as good. And then I know Poppy talked about the Writer's Lexicon. I actually use the Emotion Thesaurus sometimes.
Good.
So that one's pretty good. I actually, my favorite book for names is the Baby Name Survey book. I keep looking away from the microphone if that goes out. But I have the Baby Name Survey book. It's Lanski and Senroyd. It's a baby name book, but here's the deal. It breaks it down into personality traits.
I need to find this book.
So it lists... If you want people to think of being athletic when they hear your child's name, here's all the names associated with being an athlete. If they're sassy, if they're a brat, if they're entitled, if they're approachable, if they're funny, if they're meek, I can't even tell you all the descriptions. And so they break it down by personalities traits, and then they go through boys and girls alphabetically, and they'll say a name, and they'll list all the traits associated with that name. So I have used that so many times just to get ideas for names, and I like knowing what the impression of that name is for the general public.
Nice.
I really like it a lot. So here's kind of where I'm deviating, and I'm going to give you some really quirky, weird books here. I know I've talked to you guys about how to get the part without falling apart. It's an acting book, but it's phenomenal for character development. How an actor slips into the role of who the character they're portraying is very similar to when you're slipping into their shoes to write a character. It's very similar processes, so that one's fantastic. If you're trying to nail down character voice, BJ Novak has a book of short stories called One More Thing, and each one, the character voice that he has, the rawness in it. If you want a good character voice study, that's the book. And it's, like I said, it's a collection of short stories, but he's fantastic writing. Okay, so then if we're looking at encyclopedias, if you're a fantasy writer, you have to get the Element Encyclopedia. It's of secret signs and symbols. Ooh. And it goes through all of the different cultures, beliefs, religions, everything, all of their numerology, zodiac signs, Egyptian hieroglyphs, like everything is in this book. If it's a sign, if it's a symbol, it's in there. And
that sounds amazing.
It's really, really helpful. I really like Quackery, A Brief History of Worst Ways to Cure Everything. It's all the things that we've done to try and cure illnesses through time. And it's like the horrible things we've done.
Bleeding, yes.
Like the stories are so bad, it feels like it can't be real. Right. But this stuff happened, and I find it really interesting.
That's fascinating. And that's great for a horror writer. Like, oh, just have some ether. You'll be fine. Fine.
I love fantasy writing, and specifically Celtic lore and Fey lore. I have read, I don't know, I have at least like 20 books on my bookshelves delving into Fey lore and fairies and all of that stuff. Of all of them, I would say without a doubt the Encyclopedia of Celtic Mythology and Folklore by Monaghan. I'll have a link for it, guys, don't worry. That is gold. Absolutely gold for Celtic lore. I'm just going to give one more and I'm going to be done. Promise.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
I'm ready.
The last one is my newest encyclopedia that's super, super open helpful. It's Six Stones, Roots, and Bones. It's actually about voodooism and hoodooism and natural herbal remedy stuff, which I think has been essential for me in my witch series. It's absolutely fantastic.
Very cool. Nice. Encyclopedias are incredible.
So maybe, hopefully, one of those encyclopedias sounded like something that would help you with a project that you have. On my to-read list is, I keep hearing everyone talk about the writing book by Stephen King.
Uh-huh.
I haven't read that. Have you?
I have read that one, and I actually have a second copy, so I'm sending it to you. So look in the mail, woman. But yeah, it's really great. I like it a lot, and it's such a personal journey for him, but it's really interesting to just get that insight as to how people start, because that really is fascinating with people. You always feel like you're, you don't know what you're doing, and you're flailing, and you're like, is anybody else like this? Yes, they are. It's really okay, and it's definitely one of those like, whew, okay, I'm not alone kind of books. It is very helpful. So that is definitely a recommended read as well.
One thing I've seen recently a lot on panels and discussion topics for online conferences is actually learning about storytelling through movies. I think it used to be taboo to even compare your book to a movie, or to it was kind of taboo. Like you read books. You're smart if you read books, and if all of your examples are books and and it's kind of a melding lately where you can talk about storytelling, because movies are as well, just a different medium, right? And TV shows and all of this. And one thing I've found myself doing lately is taking notes while watching movies. So my son and I neither of us had seen John Wick. So we watched that movie this past week because everyone talks about it. It's a big movie. And I found myself taking notes about, the plot, the characters. It was fascinating how the main character really revealed very little about himself, but every character who interacted with him revealed a ton, revealed a little bit of backstory, revealed a little bit of insight to him. And it was such a beautiful mirror. Anytime he walked into a scene, every character, it was like a mirror showing more about him. I don't know anything about any other characters really except for him, and he interacted with so many people. And I was like, this is absolutely fascinating storytelling-wise, this concept and this technique. And I found myself taking notes because I've got this little writing tools folder in my Google Docs. Poppy and I actually have it shared. We have a shared writing tools folder.
We do. I love it.
We have documents where we do random, whenever I do a conference or she does a panel, we'll do a document on those particular things and things that we're learning, and we'll kind of go and stalk each other's learning stuff so that we can get stuff from it too.
Yeah. And we can talk about it. Yes.
And yeah, movie notes is in there now.
Absolutely.
So that might have happened.
I need to start watching TV again. I haven't watched TV in 10 years. And so it was funny. I noticed today I don't know slang for today at all. And I'm like, I need to, I don't know, douse myself in some pop culture because I've got nothing. I don't know what people are saying anymore. They'll say something and I'm like, what does that mean? And it's bad.
I've done that a couple times lately. I'm not going to lie.
You know, it's like I need to like get hip to the cool or something. And it's just so bad.
Not using that phrase. You're not.
Again, it's been over a decade, people. It's been over a decade. I just write and I don't
ever be
pay
hip
attention.
to the cool, Poppy.
I'm so hip to the cool right now, and it's bad. God is bad. Wait, but bad was good, right? Maybe not anymore. I don't know. So,
okay, I'm pretty bad, but I think you might be worse than me. I'm not gonna lie.
I am so cut off from the world. Oh. Anyway, so yeah, watching television is a great idea, and I should probably do more of it and watch some more, you know, like jiving shows that I know nothing about.
I am really, I don't know if it's like a mom superpower, but I'm like super, super good at zoning things out. So I can like be editing and have like a movie or a TV show in the background and we'll zone it out when I'm in the zone and then pop up when I need a break and catch like a scene or something going on.
That's awesome.
My teenager's usually actually with me in the evenings. We'll do that with my computer and my lap. We'll be watching a show together or something and he'll be like, Mom, you need to see this next part. So I can like pause and like stop and look up and
I love it.
that's like our little routine. That's how I watch John Wick, was with my computer in my lap.
The only thing my children watch, I have the little list ones, and so it's like, you know, the Croods and
Paw
Patrol,
like that.
Right? So I'm not really going to catch any super cool, you know, hip words.
No, probably not. Probably not. Especially since you write adult.
Yes.
So
not going to catch anything awesome there. So I need to probably watch some television, which is such an interesting and weird thing to say, but it's true because that's where you're going to get like your new culture and your new, you know, talking to people as we're in the time of COVID. They can't go out and like, you know, talk to people.
And new trends and new
trends and new people.
Yeah.
What's going on in the world? I got nothing.
I think it's good to stay a little connected with what's going on in the world.
A little bit. I gotta jump back in.
The next thing we wanted to talk about for leveling up is workshops.
Workshops!
Workshops! I love me some workshops. Workshops are a little bit different than classes.
Yeah.
Gosh, I mean, most workshops you'll do a fee to get in as well. Workshops can vary in their time frame, so it's not like if it's this time frame it's a workshop, or if it's this time frame it's a class. A workshop, you're usually working with your own material and taking concepts and themes specifically to help your material or your work in progress. As where a class, it's dedicated to material that's already picked out and it's not about furthering your work, it's about learning a concept.
Yes.
I think a workshop is generally based around furthering your work. How
to apply a concept to the work that you're doing right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's more of an intensive, like, hands-on experience than it is somebody pitching you information.
Yeah, or teaching you information.
Yeah.
And there could be, like, concepts and different things going on within the workshop, but there's not, like, a grade associated with it. There's goals to hit. I think a big thing with workshops is a lot of times you're working with other people, and so all achieving that same goal together keeps you striving and wanting to go forward, which is really cool.
I like that a lot. Yes.
I've done, and I'll put up a couple different workshops too that I've done through several different things. And then I also, Poppy and I are on a writing site and have a character development group called the Character Playground where we do character workshops.
Yes. Which is super, super fun.
It is. So when you're developing a character, a lot of times you can look up on Google and there's like character question sheets, right?
Sure, yes.
And there's like hundreds and hundreds of questions to like fill out. And there's different workbooks about how to develop your villain or how to develop your protagonist. And you fill out questions, their personality type, their biggest weakness, their main goal in the plot, like all of these things. Super, super good questions. And it's super awesome to know this stuff. But a workshop kind of takes you to a next level in that, where they're like, okay, so don't just tell me their favorite childhood toy. Write me 1,000 words about the last time they saw their childhood toy.
Yes.
And it's such a different experience going in and painting up that whole scene and being in there and trying to grasp onto the feelings that your character has and experienced when you write it out in a short story versus when you just write teddy bear. And you can think of this like, okay, so my character, their favorite childhood toy was a teddy bear. Last time they saw it was when they were 6 and they moved and it got lost in the move.
Right. Yes. That's a big difference.
So you write that for your answer, but then if you go and write as a 6-year-old, you start figuring out the nicknames the parents called the child. You start figuring out the other toys that they also liked. You find out, oh, they have a favorite dog. I didn't even know they had a dog. You're painting the whole family and what it looks like through the eyes of your character when they're 6. The family home that they left and the new one that they went into. Now you get to see what these things looked like. And those type of details aren't in just filling out an answer.
No, they're not.
They are there when you have to write a short story for your answer.
Yeah.
And that's what workshops do.
And I love that. And workshops are really interesting. I've taken a few as well. And the ones that have been successful are ones that I literally, you have to stop and you have to carve out time to do this. It's not one of those things where you can be like, I have a workshop. I read it. Okay. It's like, no. You need to like stop what you're doing and you need to focus and actually learn and pay attention. And you need to do the assignments that are assigned to you and work in the way that the workshop is intended, which is to immerse you into this new concept. And it will help. Gosh, it will help so much. You learn so many things when you're doing something like that, where you actually take the time to do it.
I love how you said, do it the way it's meant to be, because so many times we see things through a certain perspective. Mm-hmm. And we go, and you can say that for any of these different things that we've listed to level up. If you do it the way it's meant to be and you step out of sight of your perspective, you listen to the person who's telling the panel, you listen to the person who's teaching the class and do the assignments how they want them done, not how your brain would do them. It steps you outside of that comfort zone, because if you're just going to do it the way that you would do it, well, then just keep writing the same books over and over.
Right. Yes.
But if you actually want to like level up and grow and learn different ways to do things and different perspectives and different ways to craft a story, you have to try it other people's ways sometimes.
I completely agree with that. I think it makes you step outside of yourself and what your comfort zone and normalcy is, which I think is one of the most beautiful things of the human experience. Throw yourself out of your comfort zone, people. I know it hurts. I know it's scary. Do it anyway, because it will make you grow just incredibly well. You will expand at that point, and it will help you in your writing so much. Like when you take somebody else and when they tell you what to do, and you might be like, I don't really want to do that. And if you're like me, you're kind of lazy and you're like, that's going to take time. But you know what? Do it anyway, because I'm like that. And I still am like, okay. But this is going to help me and I need to do it. And so you dedicate yourself to doing it. You just get it done. And then you'll realize you will have some moment where you're like, I got it. I got it. And it's just such a weird moment of like, I didn't know that, and now I do. I didn't even know that I needed to know that, but I did, and now I do. And it's, whoa, I need to take a second and let that sink in, because you've stepped outside of yourself and now you've expanded. And it's really great to be able to do something like that, and for the workshops to really have you be hands-on. If you're a hands-on learner, if you're not somebody that can just read something and absorb it, that's really good, because it makes you apply this concept to what you're doing.
It's a form of discovery writing a lot of times too.
So it might not be something that you technically use, but it's going to help you.
It's going to make you understand, and you're going to get weird little details, and I swear it's those little details, not just in your character, but in your world, that if they're consistent and it all is pulling from the same place, your reader gets sucked in. And that's why they're coming to these stories, to get sucked into a different world, to escape and to actually be immersed. And if all of these details are there, they stay in that world with you and they fall in love with your stories, which is I one day hope for that. One day.
There are many people who love your stories.
So I have hosted many of these workshops, and Poppy and I talked about it a lot. And I recently hosted one where it was taking characters through basically I took the old board game Candyland.
Yes.
And I turned it into a workshop. So there's different stations where they had to go through all the different things that you go through on the board, and I kind of very fantasy-esque like. And we were talking about it, and we were talking about workshops and ways to level up and how this helps. And I have transformed this workshop into a downloadable PDF for you guys.
Because she's amazing.
I hope it helps. I hope you guys don't think we're absolutely crazy, because maybe we are. Deal with this workshop. I put in working on all different things. You pick a character. You can do solo play where you just answer all of the prompts and go through it on your own. It's basically a series of writing prompts that you have to answer. And you can also, though, get a group of people together who are all doing the prompts together and who can play off of each other. So you can go back and forth.
Which is super fun, guys.
It is.
And it holds you accountable, so you can't skirt yourself out of it like I do sometimes. Well, nobody's watching me. No, they are. They're watching you, and they're going to want to know what you're doing next. So get some people together, some writer acquaintances, and ask if they want to do something like this, because it is really fun.
It's basically an online writer's game. It's called the Candy Workshop. Mm-hmm. So we are renovating our website.
Sure. Yeah, it's under construction-ish.
Hopefully by the time this episode airs, it is all ready for you guys. That is my plan. I will shower my husband with love to make that happen, because he is our web go-to guy. There'll be a downloadable page where you can go, and there'll just be a Candy Workshop button. We also, while you're on our webpage, we actually have a Discord group. Mm-hmm. And so there'll be a link for our Discord group on our webpage, punchkeys.com, and we're going to build a little section within our Discord that is specifically for the Candy Workshop. So if you can't get a group of writer friends together and you want to have some feedback on some of these little short stories that you're creating for these writing prompts and you want to share them somewhere, you can come share them with us.
Yes.
We would love to cheer you on.
Absolutely. And learn about your characters. Yes. I love it.
So that's like our parting gift for you guys for season 1 is this workshop. So you can go experience it and see if discovery writing in this form helps you level up as a writer and see different things and learn different things. And if you enjoy the workshop, or even if you don't, or if you like season 1, can you please do us a huge, huge favor and go give us a review?
That'd be great. We would love that. We love reviews. We love reviews on books. We love reviews on our podcast.
I mean, they hurt when they're not great, but sometimes the not great ones are entertaining as well.
I completely agree with you. I mean, it's like, oh, okay, well, that's cool. I mean, that's all right. I get it. It's okay. It's cool.
So it doesn't have to be a positive one. Just review us. That would be great. Please, please, please go give reviews. We are going to take a 2-week break between season 1 and season 2. Mm-hmm. But we are giving you something to do in that 2-week break.
Yes, we are.
Okay, we are launching our first ever Punch Keys contest.
Yeah.
We are. Poppy's face right now is the most fake plastered smile because it's all centered around her, guys.
It is, and I don't do well with all that. But yeah, I am excited, but I am also like, oh, yes.
Here's the deal. We've done some interviews this season, and every season we're going to have different interviews. Our lovely Poppy is releasing a book called Holiday Hotel, and she is releasing end of November. And typically I run our interviews for Punch Keys, and we thought maybe it would be really fun if we had a guest fan come on and run an interview for Poppy. You get to interview her.
Would love that.
What?
Like, yes.
So that's what the contest is about. 2 is going to interview Poppy. So
interview me.
What we're doing is, if you want to interview Poppy, you need to follow us on Twitter, Punch Keys, at Punch Keys. Super easy. Follow us. And then you need to give us an interview question. One interview question per tweet. You can do as many tweets as you want to enter the contest. In order to enter your interview question, you have to hashtag it PoppyTime.
Poppy time!
Poppy time! So here's the deal. We're running the contest until October 12th. That gives 4 weeks from today. At the end, we're going to pull up the hashtag, and whichever question has the most likes wins the contest and gets to come be a guest on Punch Keys and interview Poppy.
Yay!
We'll also probably pull some of the other most popular questions and put those into the interview as well. So your question could still be a part of the interview, even if you are not the guest interviewer.
Yes. Come in. We love guests. We love to talk to people.
Yay! So we're super excited. Please do us a favor. Jump on board. Have fun. If you are not someone who, like, it gives you anxiety to think about coming in and being a part of this and being heard by people, totally get you. It's totally fine. But still, if you could use that hashtag Poppy Time and go in and read the questions and heart some of your favorites just to participate, that would be fantastic too.
Absolutely.
All right.
Yay!
That's
Happy season 1, Cass.
What?
I know.
We're excited to talk to you guys about season 2. Make sure to reach out to us if you have topics that you want us to talk about. You can reach out through Twitter. You can reach out through our Discord. You can reach us through our website. We'll have like our email addresses and all the different ways.
I'm looking up our season topics that we've already talked about and what we're going to be chatting about in our season 2. We have, oh my gosh, we have so many fun things.
We do. We've already got some interviews lined up too that I'm really excited about.
Oh my gosh, we've got a really fun lineup heading in. All right.
But we've got room for more, so give us a shout out if you want anything. And you guys are awesome. Thanks for being with us for season 1.
Yes, thank you.
Oh, and obviously, punch the damn keys. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. And if you liked this episode, please subscribe and give us that clickable 5-star love.
Got writer questions or feedback? Reach out through our website. And until next time, make sure to punch the keys.